What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the PowerWheels podcast. I am your host, Lefty the Great. Well, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great. Joining me this week in the virtual studio is a man that maybe a lot of people don't know, but he's one of the founders and one of the people behind Ryder Toys. Mr. Nick, I can't pronounce your last name. Can you tell me how to say your last name, please?
Steffenino, Nick
Uh,
Steffenino.
And where's that from? Where is your origins? That origin
Italy.
of that name?
Yeah, Italy. So from my dad's side,
Okay.
northern Italy. Not a common name. I've never met anybody with the same last name as me. Not yet. I know they're out there somewhere. Like, you know,
They're in
cruise
northern
on.
Italy.
Yeah. I heard doing some farming and stuff is what I've kind of been told, but I've actually never been to Italy, so maybe
There's
sometime
probably a
soon I'll
guy
get.
in Italy that looks just like you but speaks Italian.
Yeah, my doppelganger. I mean, those exist, right?
Oh, they
People
do?
say like, what? There's however many billion people in the world, 7 billion. There's got to be someone that looks kind of like you.
And I bet you they're in northern Italy. I've
Yeah,
already forgotten how to say your last name, so we're just going to call you Nick because that's just
that's
easy.
that's
Uh,
perfect.
but thank you for joining us. You are the owner of Ryder Toys, but is it just you or is it somebody else involved in this as well?
Yeah, no. So I'm the founder and
Okay.
full owner right now, and yeah, it's been fun. Like it kind of started out as a little garage side project and kind of blew up, and uh, it's yeah, got very fortunate. And the way the company just kind of took off was pretty organically, and saw a massive influx in demand, and um, try to just capitalize on that opportunity. And the big thing behind it was, I grew up like surfing and skateboarding and being outside and stuff. And what you see is like a lot of the new generation, like the younger kids, they're just glued to their iPads and they don't want
Hmm.
to go outside. And like, I saw that when I was growing up was, um, I have like younger cousins. I'm like, oh, like, let's go like throw the football around or let's go surf or let's skate. And they turn the little iPad, like, I'm busy. I'm playing Tiny Birds or Flappy Wings or whatever they're called. They're like, like, okay. And so what I really saw like with this company was that opportunity to get kids outside and like being kids again. Cause I know like my fondest memories were like outside with my brother and my sister, my neighbors, just like running around the yard and having fun. And so, um, yeah, the company's really built around like a way to empower kids to get outside and like be kids again, get dirty, have fun, spark that imagination because, I think it's important. Like, there's some phenomenal stuff out there for kids like on the internet, right? So you have like Miss Rachel and you have all these really cool games that are like, they're stimulating the mind and helping your child develop and grow. But, physical play and imagination outside of what's on your computer screen are equally as important to create like a really well rounded little kid, little toddler. Um, and so, yeah, I kind of just taking that opportunity to really empower kids to get outside, have fun. Um, and then you see like parents are just as psyched as the kids are. A lot of times, what I've kind of seen is, and I'm sure sure I'll probably do the same thing with my kids, but you know, you must live vicariously through your kids.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and so it's like, oh, you see these cars, and you're like, oh man, like I wish I had one of these when I was a kid. And it's like, oh, unfortunately, you can't time travel. And when someone figures that out, like I'm all for it because I would kill to be a kid again with like zero responsibilities and just the world's your oyster kind of thing. Fortunately, can't time travel just yet, but it's
Not
cool
yet.
because then yeah, not yet, but it's cool because then like you could live through your kid. And so I know for me, I'm like, oh man, like get my kids into surfing, and I'm like, that would be amazing, and I'll just live vicariously through them. If they're psyched on it, if they're having
Right,
fun with it.
right,
But
right.
so you
So
see a lot of parents like, yeah, just as excited as the kids are for these products.
I get that. As a parent myself, and I work, it's a lot of the things you just said has a lot of feelings how I feel in the industry of RC. A lot of father sons, father daughters as well. We struggle to get kids in there because even my son is a gamer. He does like I have all this cool RC stuff, RC boat there, all this stuff. He's like, okay, I'll go do it if we go, but I'm not like gonna beg you to do it.
Yeah.
My daughter, on the other hand, is completely opposite. And that's who we're doing it with the Power Wheels. And she is all about being outside, or whatever I'm doing, she wants to do. She wants to get up to these races with these Power Wheels. It's also funny you said that because the guest I had on her prior to you was Alex Teeter, and he's doing like the Oxford Power Wheels racing, drag racing stuff. And his son is like a star, 6 years old, loves being outside, doing all the passes and all that stuff, but gets his social media side, likes that part too, making his own,
Yeah.
doing his own vlogs at 6 years old. So that's very cool. I kind of want to retract a little bit. You grew up in San Diego area, I take it?
Yeah, yeah. San Diego area,
Mm.
um, Southern California.
Oh, mecca of both of those things you like, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah, surfing, skateboarding, getting outside. Love the sun, love the beach. The ocean's like my favorite thing in the whole world. And I challenge anyone who, lives near the beach because you see it all the time. Like a lot of people live near the ocean or maybe even live in the mountains. Like you live in these beautiful areas, get outside and enjoy that stuff around you. Like
Absolutely.
usually the cost of living's more expensive towards the beach. Make it worth it. Go to the beach every day. Jump in the ocean. Like it's free, and it's amazing. And I'm
Oh, you're
like,
paying for it. It's free, but you're paying for it because you
yeah,
went
yeah,
real
that's
close
true.
to it.
Yeah, I'm
So,
paying the sunshine tax.
was you
That's
more
for
of a
sure.
surfer or a skater growing up?
So it was skateboarding for a while. I was actually a little bit intimidated and scared of the ocean.
Mhm.
Mother Nature is kind of unpredictable. Where like just trying to understand how the water moves, and then you got some big fish out there that as a little kid, I remember watching Jaws when I wasn't supposed to. My mom was like, "Don't watch whatever you do. Don't watch this." And I watch, and I go, "Oh." I'm like, I'm afraid to even go in like knee deep water. I'm like, a shark's gonna eat me up. And then as you get older, I had a good buddy who got me into surfing, when I was coming out of elementary school
Mhm.
and, caught my first wave, and I was like something just clicked, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." Like, you kinda get entered into this flow state, and now for me, it's like it's almost my safe place, my happy place. It's relaxing. I feel reset every time I surf. Like, I don't think I've ever gone surfing and come out going more angry or upset or stressed out or come out feeling refreshed and feeling good. But it's actually kind of funny. So grew up first half of my life, like skateboarding was like everything.
Mhm.
Then got introduced to surfing. And like surfing is like my go-to, especially now. It as you get older, it hurts way more falling. You don't bounce up. I don't have rubber bones anymore. So now every time I go to the skate park, I'm sore for like 2 weeks. Walking with like a hobble and a couple scabs on my arm. I'm gonna stick with surfing. Definitely a little bit more friendly on the body, that's for sure. And you can do it till you're like 90. It's like one of those things that I think is amazing where I wasn't like super into sports in high school and in college and stuff, and I was more into like the action sports space. Um, and what's funny is like a lot of my buddies are like into football or into soccer, or this or that. It's like once you kind of get out of like college, it's those sports kind of start fading away, and there's only a couple things that you can kind of do for the rest of your life. And I know golf's one of them. You can golf until you're about 90. You can surf until you're about 90. You can race RC cars
You
till
can
you're
race
about
RC
90.
cars to your 90.
Yep. Yep. And so it's like, cool, like find some stuff that you could do like for the rest of your life. And I think it's so important to stay active and constantly like kind of pushing your boundaries on physical, mental aspect and stuff.
You like I said, you grew up in an area that was known for that. We was talking, you like to go to you was telling me you like to travel on surf trips. You gotta come down and see me down here. You'll like
For
the
sure.
DR,
Yeah.
right up here at the surf camp right there. And then I guess after high school, are you in university? What happened there? What maybe go through that period of your life with us? Because you're still a young man. You're only 30, 29, 30 years old, I think he was telling me.
Yeah, yeah, 29. Yeah, so I went to San Diego State University. I studied civil engineering for my
Mm,
undergrad. I came out and worked for construction companies. Did more of like the consulting side for utility providers. So we have like our local utility providers. I'm not going to name drop who these providers are because I can't say that they're the best in the world. Anybody from San Diego knows that it's quite expensive, and you're like, man, how are we the most expensive electricity in the U.S.? That doesn't make sense. Um, but it was amazing. I got to get to interact with so many different walks of life where I'd be able to go out onto the field and talk to the guys that are actually, climbing the poles and changing out power switches and whatnot, or I guess the utility lines and everything. And so did that for a couple of years, and then had a really cool mentor that kind of pushed me to see if I can kind of start my own thing. And so at the tail end of college, I had started like an online retail company that operated in like the environmentally friendly pest control space, and worked the 9 to 5 for a couple of years, tried to save up as much money as possible, and I go, you know what, like time to take a bet on Nick. Uh, let's see like what we could do if I put 100% of my effort into something, and I think it's really really important because one thing that I kind of noticed is like if you go half in on something, you don't really know like what could really come out of it. Like if you go 100% and push your boundaries, like I guarantee you will succeed. Because at that point, if you're going 100%, like you're not going to take failure as an option. And so, firsthand, Lefty,
And you know what? And if you're getting 100%, you can always go more. That's the thing
yeah,
about it. There's
yeah,
always more. You can still go more than
100%.
100. I
Yeah.
get it. It's always a grind.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, so I left my 9 to 5, doing the pest control stuff. And one day I'm like, well, like I want to push stuff harder. I want to see if I can actually start another company. And so when I was walking down the street one day to go surfing, I'd recognized, I saw this little car in someone's front yard, and it was a PowerWheels, and it was all beat up. And I go, oh man, like, that thing's kind of cool. And I go for a surf. And when I'm out there surfing, like usually my brain is just like empty when I surf. I'm like just in my zone. And for some reason, I kept thinking about this little car, and then I'm like, yeah, like I had something like that growing up, and I was like kind of getting nostalgic thinking about. I'm like, some pretty good memories. We had like this little yellow ATV that like me and my brother, and my sister would like ride around on. I'm like, those things are awesome. I come back home and uh, started talking to like some friends. I'm like, do you guys have something like this growing up? I was like, yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, like everyone has something like this growing up. And so what I kind of started looking into was like Power Wheels has been around for a while, and they haven't really upgraded a lot of their technology. Like fantastic company, they do amazing stuff, but they never really push the boundaries on like what these things are capable of. And what you've seen in like every other industry is like the automotive space. I mean, look how far we've advanced in the past 20 years. You know, I didn't even know electric cars were a thing 20 years ago, and now you see them everywhere, and you see some of the biggest players in the space are electric, and you walk in these cars and holy moly, it's like a freaking just an iPad as your entire control panel and everything, and they're getting away from the analog. And so that kind of sparked the idea in my head where I'm like, cool, like can we progress this industry similar to how like the automotive space has constantly been progressing, and can we add, more upgrades and kind of just pushing the boundaries on like the classic concept is like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Can you make it spin a little faster? Can you make it look a little bit nicer? That's what we were kind of going for. And so I took a risk and put all my money in that I'd saved up into figure out how to manufacture these products. And yeah, we brought in our first shipment of these little cars, and got really fortunate on how quickly they sold, and just kind of gave me good confidence into the market where I'm like, cool, like people want this, people are enjoying it. It's solving a problem of like getting your kids outside and, creating these bonding experiences and being able to cherish memories. I mean, kids grow up fast, and, you really want to be able to, you know, capture every moment you possibly can, and create, I think the golden rule is like, dude, you want to create a greater childhood than what you have. Like, and that's part of the progression thing of like how you're saying, like you still push a little harder, and it's cool. Like every generation is trying to do something a little bit better for their kids than what they grew up. And so, um,
I have a question. Which was the first car that you bought in?
the first car that we brought in was actually a little Mercedes Benz
Do you still
replica
have it
car.
available? I'm looking for it on the
Yeah, yeah,
website.
it's still available. Yeah, and so but one of those things that I mean, this is the beauty of like any business, and I hope people can kind of take this and run with it. What's interesting is like when I first started the company, I'm like, cool. I'm like, people are gonna like little replica cars because I kind of
Mm.
thought like, oh, like this will be kind of neat, and um, And so that was kind of like the business plan was like, oh, we're gonna, there you
Is
go.
it this
Yeah,
one?
it is that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, but we're like, oh, people are going to love like little license mini replicas and stuff. And, what, that was kind of the business plan. And, and then all of a sudden we go, hey, like, what if we kind of test out, like bringing in some like, developing some bigger cars with rubber tires and like off road? Cause that's kind of like, that fits my kind of energy more in the sense of like rough reality, like, off road adventure, like get that adrenaline going. And, we kind of made some changes to some products and made some bigger stuff. And next thing you know, it's like, we don't really even sell the Mercedes. Um, we still carry it because there are people that like it, but that's not kind of like what the company is really focusing on. We're focusing more on the off road, nitty gritty, really capable products. And it's funny because you start a business plan, and you read about it on the internet. Start a business plan. I'll tell you right now, you're going to throw that business plan away in about 2 weeks because the most important thing is like listening to your customer. It's what your customer wants, not like what your business plan says. So you have to be able to like pivot and adapt. And that's kind of like what has brought the company to where it is today is from listening to the customers and like what the audience wants. And if they want, off-road stuff, then we're going to make some off-road stuff. We're going to make it as good as we possibly can. And, you know, we try to take all the feedback that we can take from customers and just everyone. I mean, shoot, even you, Lefty, like you have some good insight where you're like, hey, like you should probably do this. Like we're 100% going to look into it because, you know, that's who you're servicing. That's who you're trying to, help out and make happy. And um, yeah, so the business has definitely shifted from day one to where we are today. It's been a roller coaster ride of trying to figure out how we can make this happen and kind of push the boundaries of things. And it's a slow evolution. Like manufacturing in general is a very, very long process. You go from concept or like your idea to concept, and then you're gonna have to test this stuff, and then you come out with the first iteration of it. And to be frank, like your first iteration is going to be completely different from your 10th iteration. Like things just progress and you realize, like, oh, we have to change this up and we have to do this. And so with us, it's constant testing of how we can progress, not only our products, but our company in general. And I think the most important thing that you could ever do is, yeah, listen to what your customers want, what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you got this idea, I think I was reading 2020 it started?
Yeah, so first kind of like idea was 2020, and then we kept chugging along and came to market. It took a while for me to even figure out any of this stuff, and so we came
Yeah.
to market in about 2022
Yeah, I'm
is when,
interested to I'm very interested how you went from surfing and looking at a car to coming up with a name like Ryder Toys to getting these cars into America, well, getting them to America, and now where you are, like that's I kind of want to know that that process a little bit,
yeah,
and how that kind of all worked out for you. What was you doing in that time? Did you have a full time job? What was up?
yeah. So during that whole process, like leading up to right before, and this is one of the things where had the 9 to 5 when I first kinda, like,
Hmm.
figured out, like, these products. I was kinda tinkering with them and kinda goes back to, like, going 100%. Uh, I had I left my 9 to 5 in 2022, and it was actually on January 5th. Uh, and I chose January 5th because that's my birthday, and I was like, this is a good day. Let's do this as my last day." Um, and so January 5th, I go, "I'm gonna go 100%." 100%. And so from January 5th until what we got our first sale in May. So January 1st to May was me going 100% of like bringing the stuff in, and leading up to that was like it was like kind of like a slow roll of like learning about how do you even build a company, like what how do you sell something online, how do you ship something, or how do you manufacture something, how do you import something. And the internet is filled with resources, so many resources, and I think it's so important to like leverage that. I mean, shoot, internet's filled with a lot of distractions too. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but there's a lot to learn there, a lot of knowledge.
Yes, yes. And it's crazy because I'm like, man, like if I, if I could live to be 1,000 years old, I'm like, dude, I would know so much information because there's so much information on the internet. Like I would know how to speak Spanish. I would know how to speak Mandarin. There's so much really cool information out there. And so, I use the internet as my place to like just learn as much information as possible. The other big thing is picking up the phone and calling people. That was huge. Calling, people that are in completely different industries and just kind of asking them like, hey, like, how'd you do this or how'd you do that? Like, I've reached out to real estate developers just to learn, like, that's a big uplift to go, build a building. And I'm like, it takes capital and it takes resources and like, how'd you get started? And so the basis of any business is pretty much the same. Like you have to develop what service you're offering. You got to build a brand and vision and what does that kind of stand for? And then you got to figure out how to intertwine it all together and build, a machine. And so slow rolled it for about 2 years of just doing research and picking up the phone, calling random people in completely different industries, just asking questions. And everyone was so open to helping me out, which was amazing. And I think a lot of it is because these same people that started their own companies and did X, Y, and Z, they also had really good mentors and really good guidance. And everyone wants to give back. I mean, shoot, if someone gives me a call today, like I will step aside from everything I'm doing to help them out to make whatever they want to do possible. And what's cool about like, I think branding's really, really important. And
Yeah,
that's
where did
something that
Ryder come from? Ryder Toys. Where did that name come from?
it's a good question. It's been a couple different like iterations before we got there with like just how we're kind of switching up the branding. But the idea behind it was so you have like PowerWheels, which is an amazing company, and they've done amazing branding where people actually refer to these products as PowerWheels.
Mhm.
That's a brand. That's not the actual product. The product's like an
Exactly.
electric ride-on car. And so, I'm like thinking like, what's like a creative name that we can kind of run with to uh, almost become like a household name and that's like brandable. And so I'm like, that'd be cool. Like one day, like, 10 years down the line, people are like, oh, like, did you have a rider when you were a kid? And
Mhm,
kind of
mhm.
almost changing up that narrative. And so I spent a lot of time just reading about different companies and different brands. Like, you have like Kleenex, that's a brand.
Same thing.
And
Same thing.
yep. And so, I know the real concept behind like the logo and the inspiration and all that stuff was like really to create like this nostalgic feel that's like friendly. And so you have like the bubble letters and this is all just stuff reading on the internet where it's like, oh, like what kind of all
Mm.
plays together. But
It's
at the
like
end of the oh, go
it's
ahead.
like feng shui of business.
Yeah.
Like people have feng shui in their house, like gotta have the
Yeah. Yeah.
furniture in certain ways. It's no different. It's you gotta have
Yeah.
all the pieces together to make a productive thing. I love it. Like all the stuff you're talking about, like it sounds easy to me now because I've read a lot of stuff you did, but it's
Yeah.
simple things that make a difference. Like the writing, bubble writing. Ever would have
Yeah.
thought of that?
No, no,
Uh,
and it's insane where you have, like, I know, like, a lot of the RC world, or you look at, like, NASCAR, like, kinda funny that you look at, like, NASCAR, like, a lot of those brands that are sponsoring NASCAR all have that same kind of feel to
mhm,
them, and it's like this and it evokes emotions, it makes you
mhm.
feel a certain way, and it's fascinating when you look at, like, color palettes and like, just logo and fonts and, um yeah, it's incredible, and, like, I hope one day that, like, we can even get further into our branding where it's, like, the smell, where, like, every time someone opens up that box, like, you smell that, and
Right,
it
right.
helps you reflect back, so then, like, we use rubbers and plastics and this and that,
Mhm.
it's like, maybe when you go to the tire shop, you smell some rubber, and you're like, "Oh, crap," and all of a sudden it clicks, and you're like, "Ryder
It
Toys," kinda pops back in your brain, and you're like, "Oh."
because you guys use rubber tires, right? Or some sort of rubber on your tires?
Yeah, yeah, so we actually, yeah, some of the models, or most of the models now, we use, like, EVA rubber on the outside, so helps out a ton with the grip, and then we actually have a new model that we came out with that's, like, actually, like, air-filled, full-on
Mm.
rubber tire, um, this thing's a beast.
You have
Uh,
some very, very nice products, and we're gonna go into some of the high-end ones. But I still
yeah,
wanna I'm still stuck on the first Mercedes-Benz. So you get this. Do you just do is it did you just find this vehicle online and then just say this is the vehicle we're gonna start with? Or did you have some input into the design of the vehicle, how you wanted it? And then how did you get like a test vehicle to test out? How did this all happen? Because you got to try these things out a little bit before. And I guess also I want to know, like, was you just selling? Was it like I go to Ryder Toys and I buy and you ship out like that, or was you, like yeah, all that type of stuff? I want to know. How did once sales started? Did it go right away? All that type of stuff.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, for the Mercedes, so we reached out to different manufacturers that had licensing agreements with Mercedes Benz. So in the space, a lot of times, these branded deals are kind of owned by manufacturers. Um, I know we're working with towards some different branded deals that will be directly with us instead of like the manufacturing facility. But so yeah, I reached out to companies that had a licensing agreement with these brands, and then we had some products brought in, and it's actually kind of crazy where each manufacturer would have their own kind of twist on the mold a little bit. Still throwing like the Mercedes logo on there, and so brought a couple samples in and kind of just testing them out. And me being, and this is not necessarily good or bad or the right or wrong way to do it, but like what I should have been doing was sending this to people for free. I should have been reaching out to
Mm,
people and instead of me testing it out myself, because at the end of the day, it's not what I like and what I think's cool. It's what you think's cool and what you like and what your kids like. And so, um, yeah, so start out with that, and in the beginning, sales were slow, like, and it's hard to like get the word out there and figure out how you're going to get this stuff to sell. I know one thing that we did, or that I did, and it was for the probably about first 6 months. Um, I would call every single customer that ordered, um, every single one of them after they got their product, and I would just ask them a list of questions. What do you like? What do you don't like? What could we have done better? What do you wish like, this thing had? And that's how we kind of were able to adapt to figure out like, hey, people want bigger products with bigger tires and everything like that. Um, and so yeah, in the beginning it was a challenge. Like, I mean, I was working, you know, 80, maybe 100 hours a week, just grinding it out. I wanted my finger on the pulse for every single aspect of this to understand, you know, and that goes back to like going 100%. Um, you've got to understand, like in the beginning, I didn't hire anybody for a very
mhm,
long time. We would ship it. So what we do is like, I know you kind of mentioned like, shipping stuff. I was shipping stuff out of my garage. Like,
mm,
yeah, my residence became the, ship out station. And eventually once we got to a spot where it's like, cool, now I understand how shipping works. I understand, what we need to do and everything like that. We're going to now move this to an actual warehouse. Going to bring people on to actually ship this stuff out. And then as we progressed, like, um, the one thing was like, oh, we bring our products in, we get them manufactured overseas, and then we'd add, some stuff here in the US and open up the boxes and kind of change up a couple things. Unfortunately, like at scale, that doesn't work. And it goes, okay, well, we understand what needs to be done. And we, reflect that back to our manufacturing facilities, and saves us a lot of time. And so now we're pretty much at the point where it's like any product that's coming in is like, boom, ready to get delivered directly to the customer. And right now we're like 100% direct to consumer customer.
Can
For a
you buy
company.
these? Did you ever, excuse me, I wanted to know, did you ever come to a point where these were getting sold maybe at like Walmart or anything like that? Has that happened? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Or is it
Oh
just
yeah, yeah.
direct sales from Ryder to customers right now?
Yeah, direct sales from Ryder to customers. We're working towards going into the whole retail space. It's kind of like a kind of the next chapter, the next
Mm,
step to really increase like our brand awareness and everything like that. Um, some of the challenges you kind of face, like when you go from that scale, is the operational side is completely different. Your warehousing space starts to kind of transform. You're walking, into, like our customer base on our website is actually different than the customer base of Walmart. And so I think
Mhm,
it's really
mhm,
important, like, if we're going to go to whatever retail sector, like I want to understand their demographics. Like
mhm,
I want to know it better than they even know it. And that way we can actually make sure that the correct products are getting placed in there. And hey, maybe we got to change some stuff. Maybe, you know, different things, whether that's the price point or whether that's the actual bells and whistles on these products. Because goes back again, it's what the customers want. Like you could have like the coolest thing in the world. Like for example, like some of these RC cars are phenomenal, but if you go place that in a coffee shop, people are going in there to buy coffee, not RC cars. Like they could be the coolest RC cars in the world. They're not going to sell.
I was about to say, how was you advertising this when you first started? Like, how was you getting sales? Like, who was you advertising to?
Yeah. So a lot of it was just like organic,
Mhm,
in terms of like just posting stuff on the internet, whether that was YouTube videos or um, Instagram reels, kind of going down that rabbit hole. And it was challenging. Like, and we'd reach out, like send people messages being like, hey, like, here's like a coupon for a really, really good deal just to kind of get our foot in the door. Um, and so started out that route. And then as we've grown, like our whole like approach has grown as well, where we really want to like focus on like that full funnel kind of marketing strategy. So like, we want to be there when people are on Instagram, and we want to be there when people are on Facebook. We want to be there when people are on Pinterest. We want to be there when people are on YouTube. And um it's kind of interesting because like all this stuff is like really, really important, but you need to have like that full funnel approach. And so it just takes time. Like time is as, as much as like, it'd be really cool to, just blow up overnight and have overnight
mhm.
success. Like, and you see like sometimes like you see it online, you're like, oh man, like this guy just blew up out of nowhere. And it's like,
I
dude,
know.
you didn't see what he was doing for the past 10 years.
Mhm, mhm.
He started out small. And what's cool with like a lot of these algorithms and stuff on social media platforms is takes a while to get started. Like you're going to be getting 0 views. You're going to be getting like 0 impressions. Like no one's going to know anything about your company. But if you're consistently posting, you're not like giving up. Eventually, people will start, watching your content, and you're going to start getting views. And as long as you're providing like a service that people are psyched about, like hopefully you get a sale one day. And even if you don't, like my big thing is like I do not care if people are buying from our company or someone else's company or whatever the case is. Like, I just want kids outside. Like, get them outside, get them psyched. Like, that's like kind of the mission, and that's the core value of us. And whether you guys are supporting, us or someone else, or even if you see our products and you go, oh man, like a scooter would be cool. Like, we don't sell scooters, but shoot, I'm psyched if like you go buy a scooter for your kid. Like, that's cool.
Mhm,
Cause I know like
mhm.
me as a kid, I would be psyched to get a
Just a
scooter.
scooter.
So
I guess my next question would be, how long did it take before you was like, "All right, this is getting too big and we have to move." And are you in that warehouse now, that space that you first moved into?
yes, yes, we
Okay.
are. It took about from our first sale until I realized like, oh crap, uh, this is like we're growing and we need to
Mhm,
like adapt, and we need to adapt real quick. Took probably about a year in total
mm,
for us to go, okay, like whoa, like we're moving quick. And so like the first year, we kind of rolled in like Q4 and sold out of everything
okay.
uh, the first day of December. And we're like, whoa, that's cool. But now we're like, oh, then we're getting all these emails like, hey, like, when you guys restocking?
Christmas
And we're
time.
like, yeah, we're like, oh crap, we're
Christmas time.
like, yeah, exactly. And so it was a blessing and a curse, in the sense of like it was still a problem at the end of the day. Like people like when I tell people like, oh, we sell out all the time. Like it happened. Like even as we're still today, like we bring out a new product and it sells out. It's like we weren't really expecting that. And it's really hard to gauge the market. And it's like we're like, oh, that's awesome, you sold out. And it's like, no, we have to figure out how we don't sell out because we want to keep servicing people. Like people are psyched. And how can we keep pushing this harder? And so every year we're trying to get better and better at forecasting and understanding like, the demand in the market and what people want and everything. But yeah, it took about a year before we really started getting some traction and realized like, okay, like let's go
And
from a
yeah, I mean that's good. 1 year. Most it takes people dude, I've been grinding at this RC thing for years and I'm just starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Um, how many you have 2 warehouses and 2 separate locations and how many employees now?
yeah, we have about 10 people
Okay.
for employees. And then yeah, we use a warehouse in Houston, Knoxville, Tennessee, and then Salt Lake City, Utah. And
Okay.
so a lot of the people in the warehouses like aren't are we kind of leverage like third person logistic companies to help us
Got
out.
you. Yes, yes, yes.
That's been really important for scale. Because it's really like one thing that I've always kind of noticed is as much as you want to like uh be an expert in like every sense, sometimes it's better to bring on experts yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, for me, like I love like, I know every facet of this business, like inside and out. And I try to like get really good at something before hiring on somebody else to take over that role or that responsibility, good and bad. It's cool because like I learn a lot, and that's kind of like my motivation behind it is like I just like learning. Like I'm fascinated
Mhm.
by like, anytime you walk into any industry or any, even just, trying to learn something. It's so much information, so much knowledge out there. And then um yeah, I want to know everything. And to my own demise, like maybe we'd be twice as big and twice as popular if I was hiring people right off the bat that were experts in the space. But at the same time, I probably would have no idea what's going on at all if I just hired experts out immediately. So
Well, I mean,
each
that's a great segue because, how we met is through Alan at MO Toys,
yes,
and
that was so cool.
he is super technical. He is the geek out technical science nerd guy of this stuff, and he's got one of your vehicles, so he's been sending it to me, sending me little updates of what he's doing. He was telling me that he thinks these have great potential to be something for off-road racing or in the future and whatnot. So maybe that's part of what you're just saying. Like, we're gonna send this over to Alan. He's an expert in this type of stuff. Like he
Yes.
knows the stuff. He's been doing it for years and years. I tell him all the time, I'm like, dude, you realize you've created a whole industry off of this yourself, like content wise, website wise. So is that part of it as well? Like getting people like Alan in? What do you expect from Alan and maybe the future of Ride On Toys?
Yeah. No, 100%. No, Alan's amazing. So knowledgeable. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody out there that actually has the same knowledge base as him. To be completely frank, like no one has dedicated as much time. I mean, he
Hmm.
grew up around this stuff.
Hmm.
Like, I was kind of told, like, he's kind of saying like his parents like had a hobby store. Like he knows all of this stuff. Like his parents were, I think that store was actually like a PowerWheels service center. It's like,
Yeah, he actually got started by people asking for stuff at that calling, and that's how he got into this.
yeah,
And but I tell you, when I've known Alan for a few years through RC, and then I saw his Facebook and I was like, "What is ML Toys?" And I asked one of my buddies who's good friends with him, and I was like, "What is ML Toys?" And it's some Power Wheels modification. I was like, "What?" And I
yeah,
remember forget when I asked Alan, I was like, "Dude, is this what you do full time?" And it's like, "Absolutely." And I was like, and he started telling me all about it. I was like, "Okay, I'm in. Let's do something." And that's how I'm now why I'm here. Awesome dude, but very technical.
very technical. And I think people like that are so important. So like kind of going back, like I've tried to understand these products as much as I like possibly can by like,
Mhm,
tinkering, taking apart every single component of these cars and trying to understand it. And now I'm like, cool. Now Alan's looking at this stuff and I can have a conversation with him about it,
mhm,
which is cool. And like if I never took anything apart and tried to really understand like, what causes the wheels to turn, like what all goes into the whole thing. I'd be sending this stuff to Alan or talking to Alan, and little crickets would be going on my head. We're like, what is the guy talking about? Like the red wire, blue wire. I'm like, what, dude? Like you're out of
He's
your
still tech.
mind.
He's technical, man.
Yes. But I think like somebody like Alan is so critical to to the industry in general.
Mhm,
Where you're really just like it kind of goes back to like this industry really has not been progressed to what it's actually capable of. A lot of the companies out there just kind of coasted along from the 90s till today. Didn't push any sort of like, you know, concepts of improving stuff. It was just kind of like baseline stuff. And Alan's done a great job of taking those baseline products and doing after parts to make them better. And, one thing that I love to work with Alan on is like, how do we just make these like awesome, like right out the box? And then
mhm,
how do you make them even more awesome after that fact? Like if you want, even, something that's even crazier. Cause you see it all the time. Like, people buy like a very, whatever car, and then they go make that car like even cooler.
mhm.
And we want to be able to do the same thing. And it's like, what's kind of neat is kind of going back to like how you're saying, like like your daughter loves like the RC stuff. Like she likes being outside with you and everything. Like, cool. Can we create that same kind of bonding experience with like their, kids? And you see it all the time when people have like these cars and they're always working on them and stuff. I'm like, that'd be so fun. Like, like with your kid, like souping up their car and customizing it to what like you and your kid both
Uh,
want to do. And
yep.
now it's more than just like you're bonding when they're driving, like you're bonding building this stuff and you're
Mhm.
having fun with it. And
Yeah,
um,
she's on me about it because her her godfather is supposed to come over and help me do it. So we went saw see him yesterday, this morning actually, and she was looking at, "When you gonna come over and start working on my car?" Because she wants to go fast too. And I want to say a big shout out to Alan for getting me hooked up with that. It's gonna be a challenge, but absolutely, man. It's gotten me outside with my daughter, gotten me doing more things with her. And she is the one, she's like, "Let's go drive. I want to go drive." And then I go out and hang out with her while she does it. So it's been a help for me as well, getting me out and doing something.
it's
Uh,
amazing.
it
And
is. It is.
I'm excited for you to see because it blows my mind. I see it all the time of how fast kids learn. And like I see these kids like they'll hop in these cars and it's like it's intimidating, dude. Like being like 4 or 5 years old and you're driving a car. Like, yeah, they're shrunken down, they're miniature, but it's like there's some responsibility in there and they're very timid. And then it's crazy. It's like you give them like a week and next you know they're like doing donuts and stuff. You're like,
That's her.
what? Parallel parking? You're like,
That's her.
what?
You have some cool products here, though. You
Yeah,
have
thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
This is probably the thing that caught my mind the most. I see this thing, the Grizzly 4x4. I'm like, that is just badass right there.
Oh,
That
it's insane.
it looks like
Insane.
an adult can use that.
Yeah. An adult you could fit in there with your daughter, Lefty.
I probably couldn't fit
Uh,
it. I'm too big, but definitely her. But this thing looks like it can go pretty good. You can take it wherever you want.
yeah.
Where do you find? I don't know, man. You just that's your 48 model, and you have a 24-volt. You have quite a line of products here. A
Yeah.
lot of four-wheel drive buggies. This looks cool. The drifter go kart. Are these all like? What is your most successful? What is your most sold item? I would say.
It's pretty much anything that so like that go-kart's crazy popular.
I would think so.
And I have fun with it too. I like because I
It
can
looks
fit it
like
in.
so. This looks like an adult can go in it as well to
Yeah,
an
a
extent.
shorter
A
yeah,
smaller car.
shorter. Yeah, a small adult. I mean, you could probably fit it
No, I
if you
will not fit in
tried.
there. Don't make me feel good. I will not fit in there. Trust me.
Yeah.
Um,
What I've seen is people really like things that are 24 volt
mhm,
and kind of just like heavy duty
mm,
in that sense. So like the big tires and just capable because a lot of the stuff that's been on the market for a while, it's like these little dinky wheels that are like, 6-inch diameter. And it's like you try to go on the grass and it gets stuck immediately. And you know, I think it's cool. Like you could just plow over the grass, and you can go up the curb and down the curb and all that stuff. And then, I think it's like super important that, uh, for example, like these things are like capable, right? To like
mhm,
it has suspension, has four drive motors and everything, and um, but then coupling that with like we try to put parental remote controls on pretty much every product. So it's like giving your kids this creative freedom to like kind of push the boundaries on like, exploring and stuff like that. But then also having the parental remote control where it's like, hey, hey, brother, you're going a little bit too quick there. Like, you're getting a little bit too crazy. Like, let's kind of give you a little brake check and kind of take you back over here. Um, but yeah, we've just seen a lot of success with just products that are just built different in the sense of like stronger, more powerful. And that's where I kind of see things like progressing towards where, um, I know Alan's whole company is like making these things better,
Mhm.
more powerful, and so kind of just walking down that same avenue Alan is in the sense of um, bigger, better, faster, stronger. That's
Look at this
progression.
thing. This thing's got fucking hold 4 kids.
Yeah,
Wow, that's impressive.
the thing's crazy. Um, and it's insane. Like it's so fun. Where are you kidding me? Like something like a four-seater when I was a kid, that wasn't even fathomable. Like that did
No,
not. It was these tiny little dinky things, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like four kids can fit in this thing. I'm like,
I know.
oh my
Look at this.
gosh.
This bike's pretty cool too. I like this.
Yeah, no, that thing's amazing as well. Because I know like one thing that I absolutely love is like I like riding like bikes.
Mhm,
Like I kind of weird. Like my sister is I believe she's about 3 years older than me. So I first learned how to ride a bike without training wheels when I think I was 3 years old. I learned before my sister, who was six. Um, but something about bikes, like whether it's dirt biking or road bikes or like whatever, so much fun. And so I was like pretty psyched when we're like, oh, can we get like little dirt bikes? Can we produce some, mini replica street bikes? And sometimes I feel like a kid in the candy shop, like, even just talking about the stuff, I get excited because 'cause I'm like, it's so fun, like, to get kids, like, outside, like, and each one's a little bit different, and this thing's sweet.
it is sweet.
Oh, yeah, like, you could just do 1,000 360s until you, like like, it's all because like, pretty much any product that we start producing and stuff, of course, like, I'm gonna go take this thing for a bunch of test drives and figure it out and understand it, and I'm like, I had so much fun with this one. Pretty much spinning until I thought I was gonna throw up. Uh,
Do you?
but
I'm about to say, like, you have quite an impressive array of vehicles there. Quite a way
yeah,
from a Mercedes Jeep to that to all of those to ride ones I've never even seen. Like that Grizzly looks amazing. Like amazing.
so that one was in the works for about 2 years before we were actually able to have it ready for like mass production and stuff.
So
And
let's say I wanted a Grizzly. How long would it take me to get one if I lived in America?
oh, if you live in America, so that thing's gonna come on a pallet.
Mhm,
This thing's massive. You're gonna have your own personal truck driver dropping this thing off for you. So the Grizzly shipping's gonna be slower because it's on a pallet. So it would
mhm.
take pretty much get anywhere in the US in about 5 days.
Okay, that's
That
not
would be
bad at
shipping out
all.
of yeah, it'd be shipping out of Houston. Our other things, like pretty much anything that's not on the pallet. So the only two products that are gonna be on the pallet is gonna be that Grizzly and it's gonna be that four-seater because it's just massive.
Mhm,
That shipping time is a lot slower. So around 5 days, pretty much anywhere in the US. Anything besides those two products is going to get shipped via FedEx and pretty much can get anywhere in the US because we have a strategic location with our
mhm,
warehouses
mhm.
in about 3 business days. Um, so shipping is pretty quick on that avenue. But unfortunately, um, you won't be able to get the Grizzly. No, nobody will be able to get the Grizzly now for probably about another month. We released the product and sold out within like uh, probably 3 days. So,
Congratulations. I'm
which
gonna
is
be looking
cool.
on YouTube for some of these videos now.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah. It's
good.
it's cool. But once we get that back in stock, I'd love to send one over to you and
It'll be
for the
incredibly
Dominican Republic.
expensive. It'll be incredibly expensive to send one there.
We'll
Incredibly,
figure. I'll figure something out. I can
incredibly.
make it happen.
Probably the
Um,
same price as what it costs to get her. That's how much it would cost to get her.
oh
That's how
my
it's
goodness.
expensive. It's expensive
Yeah,
here to get
because I know
stuff
that's
like
like
that.
that's another thing that like I'd love to expand
Mhm,
our reach where we're just like the continental U.S. and it's so hard where
shipping.
people want us to ship to Hawaii and Alaska, and it's so hard where we've tried it a bunch, and things just get really damaged in transit.
Yeah, and it's so
And it's just
expensive. It's so expensive.
yeah, it
Uh,
is.
I
I
live
wish
on an
we could.
island, so I get
You
it
get it.
sent. Yeah, I get it sent to a freight forwarder, and then I pay per pound, and then I have to pay customs tax on it, and it comes there as well.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it gets expensive. I know because I just shipped my Power Wheels down here to me, and it cost me
Yeah.
almost as much as it cost to buy it from Walmart.
Wow.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
do you have it is it sent to, like, a freight forwarder in, like, Miami then?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
or somewhere in
No, in Miami,
yeah.
and then they take care of everything, customs and all that stuff. Cause
Yeah.
so I know all about it. Um, competition. So I had a guy who's doing racing. Any thoughts of Ryder Toys getting into the competition world at any point?
Yeah, I'd love to. It is so fascinating, um, that it kinda goes back to, like, the internet and information out there. I didn't even know that I didn't even know there was even, like, an industry of people
Mhm.
racing these cars. And I'm like, that is so freaking cool. If there's any way I can support them, or if anyone watches this and wants to reach out, please do because I'd love to be able to help you guys out and be a part of that industry or that yeah, those events. They look fun. Like
They
again,
do.
it's like bringing the community together and people are like psyched, and that's what I'm like all about. Like that makes me so happy at the end of the day if we
Yeah.
could support that. And I know that's something that Alan's kind of brought up where it's like, hey, like, what do you think about, making stuff that's like really easy to modify?
Mhm.
And so we're like, cool. Maybe,
That's
maybe that,
that's m that's where the connection comes. I mean, I shared my daughter some of these drag racing clips, and there's some off-road races too. She's like, "I wanna do that." I was like, "We're gonna figure out a way to get you there to do it. Don't worry."
yeah,
Also, I saw something that I really like, charity donations. You're very big on that. I saw the Ryder, Toys is big on the charity donations you give to 2 I think you give a percentage of your sales. Well, I don't know how it works, but you give some money to 2 charities. That's very good, giving back to the
yeah.
community and stuff like that.
I think that's like the most important thing ever. I
Mhm,
mean, you look like around your community and a community is nothing if
mhm.
people don't support each other. Like you got to support your neighbors and your friends and your local businesses and everything. And yeah, I think it's so important because I know like what's like challenging is like our things aren't cheap, like
Mm-mm.
inexpensive. And it's like, that's not fair for, some people are born in circumstances where they, don't have this excess money to go buy, a car for their kid. And dude, if I could help out and, hook them up with some free gear and a free car, I'm like, that's huge. Or there's kids with like disabilities
Mhm.
that that's rough, like, not being able to have, like, the same childhood as other people, just based off of, unfortunate circumstances with your health, and it's like, "Cool, if we could help out in some way, shape, or form, that's amazing." Because I think, like, every kid deserves to have, like, a fun childhood, regardless of, like, the circumstances they were dealt with or born with,
Absolutely. We're
yeah,
actually my one of my next guests is going to be, a lady of a foundation that modifies Power Wheels for, kids with disabilities. Because
is it
yes,
is it Re Re is her name
Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
very interested to see what she has to say.
Yeah. She
So
is, Rebecca, because 'cause I've been chit-chatting with Rebecca a little bit,
mhm.
absolute sweetheart. She, had, like, the biggest heart in the world, and she's doing so many fascinating things,
Nice.
and yeah,
I look forward
support
to talking
her
to her.
support her 100%. Incredibly intelligent individual as well. What she
Okay.
does is no easy feat, so
I'm
you're
gonna have to
gonna
I'm gonna get on her and talk to her. I'm gonna get on her and talk to her. Alright,
yeah,
I guess we've talked about future of the industry. What does Nick want? What do you want, buddy? What does Nick, as a 29-year-old entrepreneur in this industry that caters to kids? You don't have kids yet, so obviously you want to have some, I assume. What does
you
Nick
are
want out of
correct.
out of this? Oh,
Yeah, um, just get people psyched. Like,
mhm,
there is, mean, like right now, and I don't know if it's just like, me maybe coming to age and everything. sometimes it feels like the world is a little bit down and sad at times. And my goal was like, hey, if I can get people excited and having fun and getting outside, enjoying life, like that's a win on my books. Or if I can inspire, some young person or even old person, shoot, like there's no age discrepancy or discrimination about starting your own business. Like whether you're
Mhm.
10 years old or you're 100 years old, like, go for it. If I can inspire somebody else to get out there and, place a bet on themselves. I know one of the best things I've ever done in my life was trying to start my own businesses and stuff. It is an emotional roller coaster ride to say the least. I mean, you have some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows, um, but it's amazing, and you learn so much, and you get to connect with really cool people. I mean, shoot, if I was still doing construction, unfortunately, I probably would not be sitting here talking to you, Lefty, and that's like half my connections are just from getting out there and trying to do something on your own. So if I can inspire someone else to go start their own business, or if I can inspire someone else to, you know, get outside, like I said, like whether that's with the cars or not with the cars, find reasons to get outside with your kids and have fun with them. Like so important. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I just want to be
Yeah,
psyched.
your kids are gonna be lucky. They're gonna have a lot of cool things to do: surfing, skating, Power Wheels, Ryder Toys, you name it. Um,
Hope so.
all right, I have a few off questions, and then we're gonna finish it. Dream vacation for you? What would you like? You're a surfer, so I assume this involves some sort of surf mecca you want to go to.
Yeah. Okay. Dream vacation.
Hmm.
I'm gonna dream a little bit here and kind of get off the rails, but ideally it would probably be somewhere in Mexico. And this place doesn't actually exist, or maybe it does, and I'm just gonna pretend it doesn't. But
You
uh,
got to find it.
yeah, yeah, right. You got to find it, and so it would be just someplace southern Mexico, really warm water, white sand beaches, and just a perfect right hand point break. Um, that barrels and then maybe like it looked all good. But I want it to be like in a really small like fishing town. Because
Hmm.
I think like one of the best things about like traveling for surfing and finding waves and stuff is usually the people that live there are like amazing. And that makes the trip like 10 times better. So hopefully like small fishing town that, you could hang out with them and eat dinner with every night, and then just a perfect wave. And um, yeah, couple friends, some family come down with me, and Lefty, you come make an appearance for a couple of days.
I'll come hang out. I don't do the surfing thing, but I'll drink cervezas and eat with you
That's
and watch.
perfect.
I'll
That's
watch.
perfect. But yeah, hopefully sunshine and yeah, kind of remote. Like I'm not big on city life kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I like kind of, going off the beaten path and finding little hidden gems with a select few people would be like the
Awesome.
dream. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it also puts you in a mood to think about business because when you're at your most calm, you came up with your business idea. There you go.
Yeah, you're spot on. That's great insight. Maybe
There you
that's
go.
what I need to do. Maybe we need some new products coming out. Maybe I need to go on a surf
There
trip.
you go. Business trip slash pleasure trip. Write
Yeah,
it off.
yeah.
Write it off as
Eh,
taxes. There you
there
go.
we go. Question. Your
What up,
dream
buddy?
vacation.
My dream vacation, actually, I've been to quite a few countries. I would love to get over to Africa, South Africa and Ghana, places like that, Nigeria, Kenya. I've been to Middle East. I would like to get over to Asia next and to see a little bit more of Europe. I've only been to like Italy, Spain, and England and Europe. But I kind of live in a dream vacation spot here in the DR. But um, I would love to. I have I have some things I would like to see and do, and Asia is one of them. Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, China, even all of those places, all on my radar that I like to go. I
Sounds
like to.
amazing.
It's very similar. I'm very quiet. I like to be around good friends, having a few beers, talking about RC cars or whatever we're talking about. It's pretty life. Pretty simple life. I'm not a bit. I travel quite a lot, but I'm not a big city person or anything like that. I
Yeah.
don't even like the city. but I can deal with it. I can deal with it.
Yeah. No, I
Cool.
love it. You said something that kinda struck. You're like, "You're right, living in vacation land," and, like, both of us are. San Diego, Dominican, like, so blessed, beyond blessed to
Yeah, yeah. I,
where we're
uh
located at.
I'm very fortunate that, I grew up on the island of Bermuda, and then I live here in a beautiful island. I have mountains right to my very, south of me, with a river where I was with my kids yesterday, and then I have ocean right here in front of me. So I get the best of both worlds.
That's the dream.
You gotta come down, you gotta come down. Everybody should come down. You should see I think everybody should visit a quote unquote third world country once in their life so they can see how other people live.
I think that's so important.
Mhm.
100%.
And see poverty as well. And see people that are impoverished but happy.
Yeah. Well, that's what blows my mind where, like, some of the places I've gone surfing are third world countries. These people have nothing, and they're the happiest people in the world. And, yeah,
And they'll help
look
you out as much as possible. I have a
yes.
so I'm gonna leave this on this because then now it's about me. But I have a funny story. I never drank coffee until I was in my 30s. And I only started drinking coffee because every time I would go to somebody's house or in the DR, whether it be upper class, middle class, low to very poor, living in a shack, they'd always offer you coffee, like no matter what. And if I would always say no, I don't drink it, and then they'll go, "Well, what do you want?" They'll send their kid up to get up orange and make orange juice or whatever. Go get me a beer. So I just started drinking coffee, and now I can't stop. But that's what I like about this country. So it's good stuff. Nick,
That is amazing.
I've had a great chat with you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your ideas and bringing Ryder Toys into fruition. I wish you all the best. I think we'll probably have you and her some more. I would love to see you and Alan doing some more collaboration and maybe getting some collaboration with some of the people out there that are doing the cool things with the racing and stuff. And I love your vision, getting these kids out and on bikes, getting them outside and doing stuff because that's
Yeah.
exactly what my daughter's doing. And my son's starting to come outside now because I'm like, hey, come film with us, and he likes that part.
Hey, there we go.
There we
Whatever
go.
gets people outside. I think,
There we
like,
go.
the sunshine and everything is so important.
You need that vitamin D, man. Gotta get that
Yeah.
vitamin D sunshine. Dude,
Yes.
thank you for the chat. And thank you for all that you do. And we wish you all the best.
You're the man, Lefty. Thank you, brother.
Are you looking to take your ride-on car to the next level? ML Toys makes it easy with plug-and-play modifications like motors, speed and brake controls, and more. ML Toys is the one-stop shop to make your ride-on car the coolest car in the neighborhood.
What's up, Alan? How you doing?
Great. How you doing, Lefty?
Um, I have been busy recording for both of these podcasts. We just had Nick on from Ryder Toys. You've also been busy doing some things with Ryder Toys. We're going to get into that. But yeah, you know me. I've been busy, especially on the RC side of things. It's been a very hot month of racing, and I've been all in the drama of that. So kept me busy. We did release a podcast with Alex Teeter as well. I know he's on the way as we're recording this. He's on the way back from Texas. I'm hoping to get him in here in the next. He's hard man to pin down. He's uber busy. I'm hoping to have him in for a recap of that, and maybe his son. But uber
Okay.
busy, uber busy. You went to the RC track yesterday with a little track relaxation day
Yeah, I
to
got
have some fun.
some lap times in and played with some electronics, which, for the listeners on this cast, that actually does play into what we do with the ride-ons too, the stuff I learned yesterday. We may relate over into our electronic speed controller programming.
Yeah, ESCs. We use ESCs in electric, and we had a discussion about that. So good time. And I'm actually on the road. I go on the road next Monday unexpectedly. I was planning on being here for another month, but we have a big race coming up next week, Psycho Nitro Blast, which is a big race in our industry, in our hobby industry, but one that I work in. So I'm going on, and then that ends up being a 5-week tour trip where I'm going to do racing and go to other races and not what I was planning, but I will be on the. I have a mobile studio with my buddies over there, so I'll be getting in the studio here as well with you and other guests as well when I can. So it's going to be a busy 5 weeks ahead of me, and it ends up starting in America and it ends up Portugal. So interesting 5 weeks for me. I'm trying to convince you to come to Portugal in August for the e-buggy World Championships.
Yeah, I've been considering that and if I knew sooner about Psycho Nitro Blast that you were going, I probably would have sprung on bandwagon for that too. But nope, I'm gonna stay here and develop some car parts. I got a lot going on with, like you were saying, with Ryder Toys and some of the other brands that we're developing. So maybe I should have to work.
Dude, so as I've delved deeper and deeper into this, uh, you have made a plethora of content. Like I was telling somebody the other day that I was like, this guy pretty much made. I know there's other people involved in this, and people will probably not be happy with me saying this, but from the outside looking in, everything I see is ML Toys. You've been doing this for a long time. You've created quite a lot of content. Looking at your YouTube and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give you some flowers for that. I gave you some flowers earlier this week. I was like, Alan, you pretty much created this industry. And it's pretty impressive as I've gotten into it and starting to see how the different niches and how big it's getting. Obviously, I'm gravitating more to the racing side because that's kind of like what I like.
Yeah, I like the racing side too because it pushes our development. And yeah, we talk a lot about the drag racing, but I think you're going to start to see. You've been getting contacted. I've been getting contacted by guys that run oval
Mhm.
racing, road course racing, demolition derbies are way, way bigger um, than drag racing. But everybody's doing their own thing, and that's why we're trying to get everybody together. If you're listening to this podcast, we have a Facebook group called PowerWheels Race Director. If you're actually a director of any kind of racing, join that Facebook group. That way we can all talk together, get shared rules and shared records, and work on getting everybody on race calendars that the public can see to grow the individuals. So yeah, uh, that's been good. And the content you were talking about that we put out, look, it's more I can put out there that solves questions that people have, the less time I spend answering emails from customers and can design new products. So that's what all those YouTube videos are for, is solve questions before they get to me.
Yeah, because I just received, I think it's a stage 4 kit
Yes.
and lighting. Yes, that I just received. I haven't started it yet because I actually need uh, someone to help me because if people don't know, I'm called Lefty because of my arm. It's like 75% paralyzed. My fault, bike accident. But basically, I need help doing anything, right? And my buddy's pretty good. He helps me out with a lot of RC stuff. He just hasn't had time. But I have been watching the videos, right? And just so I know, so I can explain to him how we're going to do this. And they're very informative. It looks daunting at first. I'm like, oh, but then I'm like, it's not really that hard. It's just common sense, and I like to. I'm gonna be soldering as well,
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
gonna be soldering my stuff because I believe in soldering. Luckily, I know how to do that. Not everybody knows how to solder, you know. Even in RC, I know guys that don't know how to solder in RC or
Yeah,
don't
and
like
like
it.
with your kit particularly, the 24-volt conversion for the Dune Racer required one battery in the front, one in the rear.
Mhm.
But how do you make that plug and play friendly so that the people that don't solder can actually do this themselves? That was a huge challenge, and I wondered when we designed it, would this be asking too much of the average dad to do? But it's always been one of the top sellers. So when you take anything and break it down to one step at a time, where it's a couple of screws or one connection, it's not so hard. So that's been the key to this industry is been more about how to make it easy to do versus just how to make it.
Yeah, and I guess that's always a constant development, right? It's you always finding different ways to make things easy. I'm sure you run into different products as technology becomes more available and things become more viable and feasible. So that's a good thing because I remember it was like an update of two. Lots of good information on there, man. So if you guys have anything you want to learn about this stuff, like modifications and lights and all that stuff, just go over to ML Toys YouTube or their website and check it out. And also, I'm gonna shameless plug. If you use the code, what's the code? Power Wheels? Because I used No Name. I think in the beginning of this,
I gave you no name. I
No Name
don't
for the
know.
RC podcast, and I think it's. I
I
have
did.
to go look.
I have
I
to
have
go
it in
look
the written
too.
description. I should know this type of stuff in it, but I always make these type of bumbles. Um, Also, you have been working on the website also as well, getting the calendars up and down, trying to get all these. Like you said, you're trying to get rules and regulations. Like the goal would be to get an actual Power Wheels racing, not racing, but Power Wheels Association Federation governing body that controls and puts some regulation to these various different disciplines in the PowerWheels community. You
Yeah.
started something. You started something on the website, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so on the website, we launched a racing section just for Power Wheels that are not for daily use. They're for taking to the track, and it includes products that are made just for racing. Um, and then it also has different types of racing. So if you got a kid's birthday party coming up and you want to hold a Power Wheels race in the neighborhood, some different ideas on types of racing and basic rules for them. The drag racing, because we work so closely with Alex at Oxford Power Wheel Racing, we have his rules posted there. They're probably going to become the guideline for drag racing rules on a national level, so we can start crowning national champions and having inter-track races. If you've got a race, somebody else has one, but your cars are all modified different, you're not going to be able to
Mhm.
challenge each other. So we want to help unify that. And then eventually have a national racing federation, which Alex and I are trying to form how that's going to look. Like we see this in our RC racing world where our racing federation deals a lot. Most of the guys are into on-road racing. So
Mhm.
the off-roaders they're not making the rules work right for them. So can Alex and I, Alex being a drag race guy, make a federation and have rules for all the different types of racing, or do we have to form different federations, one for smash up derbies, one for road course? We're in the process of forming all that and figuring it out, and that's where that Facebook group of getting all the race directors together, because we don't want to dictate rules. We want everybody to agree on bylaws, constitutions, all that. I hate the politics behind it, but the stuff you have to make it all work for everybody. And then we also have a calendar on the Facebook on the website of any type of race happening anywhere. If you send it to us, then we'll post it on the website, and then you can go on there and say, "Hey, is there a race happening on this day in my area?" And you can pop up there and see. And as you look into the summer months, there's something every weekend somewhere in the country, and we want to see like every Saturday or Sunday to have 5 different things on that calendar in different places. So, and they're out there. We just got to get it all populated.
Yeah, I think it would take, like you said, everybody just coming together. So if you have a different discipline, obviously you guys can't. It's good to get their input about what goes on with them, and they can be probably in charge of that section. Uh, uh, so it takes time, it takes cooperation, right? And it takes first people come into that Facebook group. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
So get over to the Facebook group. Let's start communicating. I mean, I try to facilitate as well. If I don't know much about this, but I'm starting to learn who the people are, so I can put you in contact with this person or that person. And we want to get these kids out racing. We want to get some. I think that's perfect. Like have a standard rule set for everybody, so everybody can compete and with each discipline, and get some more spotlight on this, and get these kids out racing, competing, enjoying themselves, and learning some mechanicking, learning some driving skills, learning some people skills, all that type of stuff. So it's definitely needed. And we can just go, what was the Facebook again? I know somebody's going to ask me this. I better leave a link for it in the written description of this podcast.
The Facebook is Power Wheels Race Directors, and
Power Wheels Race
yep,
Directors.
if you're an avid racer, don't join the group. We just want the people organizing the races in there.
Got you. Got you. Got you. All right. Also, over the last few weeks, we've been chatting, and I've kind of seen you doing some R&D on some vehicles behind the scenes. You're always doing something, and it's pretty cool. Like, I really can't wait to sit off with a couple of my friends in RC and geek out about this with them, because I'm watching you do an R&D. You're sending me videos, and we're talking. I know you're testing out the I think the 4x4 Ryder toys, courtesy of Nick. And it's good to see you working together with him. And I guess, what is the end goal with all of you working together with Ryder Toys? And it's good to get a little look into the R&D side of things with you.
Yeah, so thank you. It's a lot of fun, and it's become a lot more fun. Nick's opened up a possibility we've been trying. Every time we start to work with a new brand, um, I reach out to the company and I tell them what we do, and I'm like, "Hey, can we work with your engineers and get product and get schematics and access, and so we can design a better product. And then in turn, you'll be able to on your website advertise, "Hey, these cars are designed to be modified." Um, and I always got rejected. I think it's either been a liability issue for the companies because they're so overloaded with lawyers, or it's just they don't understand the modifying game and they laugh at it. So Nick actually reached out to me from Ryder Toys and said, "Hey, look, it- these Nick Ryder Toys is not the only one importing their cars. There's other companies that do that, but Nick is in a unique position because he's done such a good job importing them. He has influence over the manufacturer." And so he reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you help me make these cars better quality? I get what they are, and that we listen to our customers' feedback, and we know there's room for improvement. But Nick's a business guy; he's not an engineer. So he's like, we would love for you to be able to tell us what improvements we can make so that they're better out of the box, more reliable stock. But then on top of that, he said, hey, I want to also be able to market these cars as being able to be modified as the kids grow up, and that's spot on the partnership that makes this work better and will make the cars, his cars better and stand out over everybody else because the manufacturer will make mold changes that we need or circuit board changes or whatever just for the Ryder Toys product line. So, yeah, he sent me their most popular one is their four-wheel drive car. It's really cool. Four-wheel drive is something that ride-on cars have needed for a long time. They're almost exclusively used off-road, and it's so easy to just start spinning wheels the way they're set up. When with four-wheel drive, wheel spin's not an issue, but it's double the amount of power that's got to go through the circuit boards, and and that makes it a lot harder. And we want to put bigger motors in them, so when we do it, we quadruple now because we're putting four bigger motors in. So there's a lot to it, and one of the cool things we've learned. Which one of these is a rider? I think this was the rider gearbox. This is another Chinese gearbox. This is another Chinese. I think this was the one out of the Huffy. These things all look pretty darn identical. And I got a fourth one floating around someplace from Dynacraft. They look identical, but when you actually start messing with them, they're all different. Like the wheels are the same wheel mounts. They all take 550 motors, but everything inside is different. You can't swap a gear from one to the other. And most of them you can't even swap the gearbox from one car to another car. But they're similar enough, I realized, that we could make one mold that replaces all the different, what we call the Chinese gearboxes, and make it so that it can handle 775 motors out of the gate. And, so be able to mount them. Like most of these gearboxes can't even mount because of this ring or because of the screw holes are a different distance apart to mount the motors. So you can't put a 775 motor into these. So we said, well, we'll make a mold that it can do that. And then the gears, of course, have to be strong enough. We all know anybody who's bought a cheap Chinese car, you strip those gears out. So we're going to make stronger gears in them. And we can make one mold that works on all these different cars. And that's what we're in the process of. Doing something like this, though, takes a lot of money and a lot of time. It's going to take us all summer to do R&D back and forth, designing these gearboxes, making changes to them, get a gearbox, test it, and you can only modify a mold so much. We have to get a mold to a certain parameter, then have the mold created, then start testing. And God willing, any changes we want to do don't require a whole new mold because you got to pay for that a whole nother time. So that's the work we're going through on the gearboxes for not just for Ryder, but that should work for a lot of brands of cars. And then the circuit board, we have our own circuit board electronic engineer company that we're working with them with their board, with the board to determine where the weak spot is on a board. We all know when a board stops working, okay, power is going in, power is not coming out. But what components on the board are the failure points, the weak points? So we're working to find what the weak points are and determine, do we need to make a whole new board Or can we take the existing boards and just replace a component on it or a couple of components on it to make it handle more power? I'm speaking a lot, but that's the kind of stuff there is to
No,
this.
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. Trust me, when Max goes into science mode, I go into complete blank mode sometimes because I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
But this really interests me on the R&D side of things, right?
Yeah.
And what it takes.
It's a lot of fun. Like even there's the first thing we ran into a problem with our 775 motor, the gearbox design we want to use to put it into the gearbox, the shaft on the motor isn't long enough for the pinion gear to reach the first gear, the spur gear as we call it. Um, so we actually are redesigning our motors with a longer shaft. It won't affect how they work in the other cars, but before we can even start testing a gearbox, we need to modify our motors a little to work with them. So many little nuances to it to get it to market. I kind of miss the days when I was, this was a side hustle company working in my backyard, in my garage, and there's just, we those low hanging fruit days are over. So
No, yeah. I mean, I watched it and that was pretty cool to see. And your excitement, like, look at this. You send me a video and like, oh, we got this work, we got this going and this and that. And so for me, it's pretty cool to see. And that's what I think when I do talk to some guys who eh, yeah, can't fathom what's going on here. Because I remember Max just can't. So Max is my co-host for my other podcast. He's a young Finnish kid, very smart, engineer brain, good racer. He has no idea. He has no idea. He would love this stuff too because he likes this type of stuff, right? But it's no different. Obviously,
yeah,
it's no different. It's just on bigger cars, and it's R&D. It's
yeah.
what works. Obviously, the racing side is a little different. They work on some different parameters, and each side is different. Drag racing.
But
Uh,
we do work with the R&D with that. Like Alex
mhm,
has designed, a lot of this stuff. We came out with the first gear delete plate, but then Alex really did a lot of work to make them fit other gearboxes and other designs. We're working with Alex. Like Alex makes a wheelie bar
mhm,
for a couple at a time. And so we've been working with Alex to R&D a wheelie bar for mass production. So
got you.
again, Alex is required, I think it was riveting or welding. I'm like, Alex, we need to modify this to be bolt together so everybody can do it. And we may need to make it more universal to fit more
Mhm,
cars. And so I'm working with Alex on, wheelie bars for racing. So the race products we're also developing. It's a little more out of my control. I'm more just giving feedback. And Alex, as we keep saying, is a really busy guy.
mhm.
Uh, so that stuff is also coming. So don't worry, you racers. We're going to bring more and more products to make the racing easier to get into the racing world.
Yeah, very tinkering,
Yeah.
like kind of like what our hobby used to be. Used to be very tinker orientated. It still is, but now people would never know the pain of getting a kit that you had to Dremel. I mean, there are some kits you have to Dremel stuff on nowadays, but not
Yeah.
like it used to be.
Yeah. No more making your own chassis and
No,
stuff like that in the RC world. No.
no, no, no. But this here is very, 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 still very much tinkering. Even though, like I said, some of the stage 4 kit is past tinkering. It's tinkering in a sense where if I had to do that on my own, I'd be completely lost, right? But
Right.
with instructions and videos to do it, I feel very confident in going to do it. But you still have to be a tinkerer as
Yeah.
well. All right, Alan. Well, that was a good chat, good catch up with you. I know we have a few questions here from some of our audience that listen to this. I know we only got a few questions in. We are still trying to get you guys over here. I know this is a new concept. Some people really like it. If you're a podcast listener, if you watch podcasts and other spaces, go and don't forget to smash that like, sub, and notification button. I am going to get this up on audio only, even though I think it's better to watch this as well, especially because we're going to do some tech tips and stuff which require you to watch it. But we definitely want your questions. And this is the Power Wheels Podcast Bench Racing Q&A. And this is brought to you by ML Toys, because everything right now on this podcast is brought to you by ML Toys. Thank you, ML Toys. And we only have a few questions here, so we're going to get through them. You're going to go into science mode now, Alan.
Ooh.
Power Wheels science mode. So let's see. We have a couple of Facebook questions. I had a couple of YouTube questions. Let me bring them up. I did just screenshot them, but like anything, I have probably lost them because you would think that a guy who does this for a living would be prepared, but I have so much screenshots. So let me just go to the questions.
And while he's finding those guys, if you're in a position where you think this podcast would help your business, please sponsor it. I don't want to be the sole sponsor. This is not the ML Toy Show, even though Lefty's got a really cool hat on.
Thank you.
Help him grow the show so that we can get even a wider breadth of the Power Wheels world covered.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely. I want to get more involved in this. Like the goal would be to get to one of these events, bring my daughter. It would. She is. That's all she keeps talking about. To be honest, I wish I would have never said that to her because that's all she's like. When are we? She thinks she's going to New York. Right? So when are we going to New York to go racing? And I'm like, soon, soon.
And
All right.
I'll segue that. I'll be the first to announce it. We now have an ML Toys dragster that Alex has it, and he built it for us when he's bringing it to the races, and he's going to put people into that car. It doesn't have an owner to it. So,
Sweet.
like Lefty, if you go to the race and your daughter is, he feels your daughter is capable of handling it, she could. You don't have to bring a car. You're coming from another country. She'll have a car to drive. And they'll keep it as a backup car if some kid car breaks at a race. Nobody wants to see the kid not to get to race at all. So we have an ML Toys dragster that it actually made the semifinals last week, and and that was on its debut race. So we were thrilled for that, and he'll keep tweaking it and making it better.
Sweet, sweet. That's awesome. Thank you, Alex. All right, we have a question from Brian Boucher. I think it's Boucher, Boucher. He's also a race promoter
Yeah.
as well. And my question will be with Outlaw Class, why not allow brushless motors where you can run lower voltage and still have the same speeds?
More of a question for Alex,
Mhm.
but the brushless motor issue is a huge issue. So brushless motors require a totally different speed controller. The electronics are totally different. They run 3 wires to a motor, not 2. There's sensor wires to it. The obvious advantage to brushless motor is it's so much more torque and speed and efficiency out of the motor. The problem is the gearboxes just don't handle it well. And any of there are some races. We're going to get some of the other race directors on that do run brushless. They just there's a lot more involved to getting it running. It creates a much tougher barrier for entry for people. So I think I can't speak for Alex. I think that's why he's not running them. But they have the top level class where you can do anything. But that's why the technology just isn't there. Maybe if we had a clutch in these cars, we could do it. Or, a clutch with electronics is a much bigger electronic system to do that kind of clutch effect. So that's the short of it. Is it's just too much power. We can overpower these things.
Okay. Sweet. And we just touched on this, but it's good. Josh Edgerton, he says there's more to Power Wheels than just drag racing. How about some love for the Derby kids? Go check out Piston Broke Built. I will. And you know what? That he could probably be a great guest to have on her at some point this year.
Yeah, we got to get some of the Derby guys. I love the Derbies. My favorite way of doing a Derby, a lot of people think just smash the Power Wheels into each other. Well, at 5 to 10 miles an hour, they just don't break hitting each other. The kids run into each other until the batteries die. So my favorite way of doing a Power Wheels Derby race is you put a balloon on each side of the vehicle, and then the
Mm,
last kid with the balloon not popped is the winner.
okay. Interesting.
It's a cool way to do it, and that's something that you can do, like I said, as a neighborhood birthday party and all. But yeah, definitely the Smash Up Derby is the biggest form of Power Wheel racing.
Really? I gotta go look at some of this stuff on YouTube.
Yeah,
I haven't delved into that yet.
cool.
All right, we have a few Power Wheels questions. Some are from our YouTubes. First one up is I don't even know how to say this, but I'm just going to ask their question. My Power Wheels dies out on the hills and thick grass. My kid isn't ready for more speed. What can I do to keep it from getting stuck?
Cool. Great question. We get that one a lot. The I'm not ready for more speed, but I need more power. It's basically more torque. There's 2 problems that cause that need. One is a weak battery. If your battery is a couple years old, maybe just replace it. The battery, even though it's got voltage, it's got to be able to put out that punch. And when the car's on a hill, the motors are demanding more of the battery, and that's when it dies out. No different than your real car battery might start the car in warm weather, but when it's really cold and harder to get your car going, your car cranks slower because your battery is weaker. So start with a fresh battery in it, and if you're still struggling, um, I recommend upgrading to the 775 motors, the stage 4. When you keep a car at 12 volts and put these in, you don't get any more speed. These things are designed for 24 volts, but you still get the 4 times more torque that the bigger motor puts out. So you'll get more climbing off-road power, kind of like, you know, putting a real Jeep in four-wheel low
Mhm.
and climbing. So
All right, sweet. Uh, Next question is from another YouTube question, and it's so many word names. What's the best way to paint my kids' Power Wheels? I never thought of this. Do people paint these things?
they do. It's really, really tough.
Okay.
Obviously, the car's gotta be really clean.
Mhm.
Dawn liquid detergent the entire car, get it spotless. Clay bar it if you're into real cars. Clay bar is the best way to clean the plastic. You've gotta use a plastic prep on the p on it. You know, these things are so flexible that the paints just crack. We deal with this with RC car bodies all the time, and Power Wheels, the paint's just not designed to stick to it because the plastic is so oily, and they make them really oily so that it handles the UV light of being left out in the daytime all the time.
Yeah.
Really hard to stick, get paint to stick. I actually met with, um, the new name for DuPont. I forget what the name of the
I
paint
don't know. I didn't even know they changed names.
Oh, yeah. I met with a couple of paint companies at SEMA, and right out asking them about making our own line of paints for Power Wheels. Man, they all cringed. They're like, "We're not
Yeah.
even sure we can do it." So, and that's why we don't have a paint line. Is man, if those guys don't think it's really possible, so, yeah, you can paint it and it'll look good initially, but a year down the road from the car flexing, from kids hitting things, they generally get destroyed. So, unfortunately, I don't have a strong answer. Um, I recommend stickers. You know, cover the car up in stickers. Another cool trick, if your car is beat up from the UV light, you know, just all faded out and the white coming through, if you take a heat gun and
Mhm.
run it lightly over the plastic, it brings the oils to the surface, and it's like waxing the car. It really brings a second life back to the original paint job. So you can try that too.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. And we have one final question, but we kind of talked about this. And he says, "There's no Power Wheels racing in my area. How does it get started?"
It gets started with you. It's
Exactly.
really not hard to organize a race. Join the race directors group. Let us know what type of racing you want to do in your area. You will get the people. Getting people to bring their kids out is the easy part. You need a location and you need a set of rules. If you want to do entry fees, great. You know, if you had expenses you want to cover, great. It just starts with you deciding you want to put it together.
Absolutely. And you can do this anywhere pretty much in a
Yeah.
parking lot.
Yep. Parking lot,
Anywhere.
park, baseball diamond, whatever you want.
I have a question. These derbies and all that stuff, they take place at mostly like state fairs and stuff like that.
Yeah, state and county fairs is where we see the most of them, or local stock car tracks, or places that have real smash up derbies will do it as an exhibition. Then that's why we don't have the organization. Is there's no organization from
Mhm.
one county fair to another. It's some guy puts it on.
Sweet. All right. Well, we want to thank you all for the questions. Hopefully, we'll get some more as time goes on. Don't be afraid. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. If you don't want to have your question directly on the comments, you can send us a message as well. And if hopefully I'll get to it because I do monitor quite a lot. But thank you all for the questions. We greatly appreciate it and the support of the Power Wheels podcast. Don't forget to smash that like, sub, notification button. Thank you, Nick, for your time. It was great chatting to him, getting to know him as well. We're going to get Alex on here shortly as well to have a recap of taxes. And thank you, Alan, for all your time and all your help in the Power Wheels community. And don't forget, go to ML Toys, check them out. Check them out on YouTube for all your tech tips and instructional videos that he's done over the years. And yeah, thank you for all the support. And thank you guys, everybody out there. We got to do like a reader's ride or viewer's ride. So I need to get that going. If you have a cool Power Wheel, send us a video. No, send us a picture, and we'll play it. Put it up on the podcast. That'd be
That's a
cool.
cool idea. I like
That'd be
that.
cool.
Let's let people show off the rides.
Yeah, let's show them off. Show them off. They might even have their kid with like everything matching. That'd be awesome. Like race suit, helmet, everything. That'd be really cool. Thank you all. Remember, this is all about the kids. Make sure they have fun. My name's Lefty the Great. Not so great in this one. And we have Alan over there. I'm going to call you Alan Q. There you go.
I don't think the Power Wheels people will get it. I get
No,
it.
they don't, but RC will.
But I'm gonna need to get myself a funny accent like your other hosts.
Yeah, and talk and write a book.
I'm doing it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm sure. All right, my friend. Thank you for the Q&A and the chat. And we'll have you. You're obviously going to be on her more and more. And thank you for all the support. Yo, enjoy your weekends. Enjoy your time with your kids on the Power Wheels. Make them go fast. Make them have fun. And we thank you for all the support from Alan and Lefty. We're out. We'll talk to you later.